Hello everybody, this is Jurassic Adventures, and in today's video we will be repainting and customizing this Hammond Collection Carnotaurus into the Lost World Jurassic Park Chameleon Carnotaurus color scheme. This is heavily inspired by Michael Crichton's Lost World novel as well as the Lost World arcade game, where the Carnotaurus looks like a chameleon and exhibits sort of those chameleon-like camouflage abilities. So without further ado, let's get this thing unboxed and get into the repaint. With these Hammond Collection figures, they have a lot of articulation and posability, and if you don't shave those areas down, then what they're going to do is rub paint once you try and move them. We still want this thing to be fully articulated and be able to get posed like so. So what I'm going to do is take the X-Acto knife and start shaving down these joints. You just need a little bit of that plastic off, and then it is good to go, and you can prime and paint this thing. I wanted to give this thing even more of a chameleon-like look, so what I did is I took some green stuff epoxy putty and just started making these ridges on the horns, and these horns are going to be a lot pointier and more rigid, almost like a chameleon, so that is going to improve the overall look of this thing a lot once painted. After that, if you've watched any of my repaint videos, you know I'm just going to cover this whole thing in gray primer. And then I'm going to dry brush this sort of minty light green tone on the underbelly. And then for the first green undertones on this figure, I'm just going to take this sort of almost lime green and airbrush it all over the top of the body. With that lime green done, I'm going to go in with a darker, more blue-green and just start doing all these stripes and coloration that you see on the Chameleon Carnotaurus. The goal right now is just to build up green tones and get that color variation and those patterns sort of basically laid out. After that, I'm picking out certain parts on the body and going over it with this light yellow-green just to kind of give it that sort of striping effect and that high contrast that is on that Lost World arcade Chameleon Carnotaurus. Next, I'm doing these super cool sort of spot, almost leopard patterns with a fine detail brush, and I'm using a dark green. That done, we're going to really do those dark stripe patterns that you see that go all over it with the airbrush and a dark green. With all of those patterns done, now it's just going to be a lot of brush detailing. I'm picking out certain little details and scales on the face with various different green and brown shades just to give it a lot more character and color variation. Next, I'm going to do the stripes around the eye, and I started off with a brown tone, but then towards the edges closer to the eye, I did a little bit of orange later on to kind of give it a almost fade without the airbrush. After I finished that, I went on to the horns and I just kind of dry brushed those with a lighter yellow tone. This is going to bring out all the detail that I sculpted in earlier. Then I wanted to darken up the tips of the horn, so I airbrushed it with a little bit of transparent burnt umber ink. And then I filled in the entirety of the mouth with this sort of flesh tone. Afterwards, I painted all the teeth in a bone white. Then I moved on to the claws, just painting those in a really dark gray. Previously, I already base coated the eye in black, but I wanted to keep them sort of dark, so I painted a bit of dark brown. Then I painted in a tiny black pupil in the circle of that dark brown. Then of course the real hold your breath moment, the tiny white light catch in the eye. After that, the final step is to just coat the eyes and the mouth in some gloss. And that, guys, is my take on the Chameleon Carnotaurus as seen in the Lost World novel and arcade game. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This is Jurassic Adventures, and I'll see you in the next video.